Hello Exile, Betta here with an update on the next new build that I'm currently working on. Ever since the beginning of Scourge League, I've wanted to try out something different as the build diversity of the game is bigger than ever thanks to all of the changes that GGG has introduced to us. I've kept an eye on Energy Blade, which at first was dumpster worthy as it removed 80% of energy shield to create a weapon that has base lightning damage equal to the amount of your total energy shield. But it was soon changed to 50%, making me even more excited to give it a try. After putting different build variants together in Path of Building and researching many forums, I have come across this variant of using Energy Blade with Inquisitor to utilize the Battlemage passive, which transforms any flat damage from our main hand weapon to apply to our spells as well. Once the build is stable and I'm satisfied, I'll release a full guide on it, but until then I'll be releasing update videos just like this one to keep you informed on my progress. With this being said, should you want to follow my progress, then smack that subscribe button and ring the bell to be notified on my latest videos. The Path of Building link is in the description with leveling trees if you are interested. So, in terms of me leveling up this build, I initially started off by just using Freezing Pulse and further moving into using a Holy Flame Totem, which by level 12 I moved on to using a Storm Brand, and I picked up the Ruin Binder on the tree and I started my pathing into some life here and to getting more life, and pretty much just tried to get as much life as I could. I then further moved up and switched to Storm Brand using a Bitter Dream for the extra skill links, giving it a shit ton more damage, which was a huge help on getting me to Act 5, where I switched to using a Mortar Morsu Claw, mainly because I got my Ascendancy Righteous Providence, which gives increased critical strike chance per points of strength or intelligence, whichever one is lower. And of course, as you can see here, I've got almost 400 of each, so it gave quite a huge chunk of increased critical strike chance. And the Mortar Morsu helped get us those extra attacks per second, so I could start proccing the freezing pulses off of using Cyclone. Over here I used an increased critical strike chance on it as well to further bring up the critical strike chance as well. Overall it was really smooth to level. I think I managed to get to Act 10 within, it was probably about 3.5 hours, maybe 4 hours, excluding me being AFK in that, of course. Otherwise I just pretty much pathed in the tree to pick up as much strength as I could and intelligence, of course, and I went over to get Ghost Dance as well for early mapping. And now at the moment I've just gotten into early maps and I've done maybe 1 or 2 white maps just to see how it performs, and overall I'm really enjoying it, and I would like to just show you guys what my current setup is. So let's just jump into it and check it out. Right, so I'm currently level 71 only. I've just gotten into earlier maps. I've done 1 or 2 T1 maps just for a quick little speedy idea of how the build performs. But at the moment I've got 950 intelligence and 929 strength, which gives us a huge chunk of critical strike chance. As you can see here, the current critical strike chance is almost sitting on 100% already, which is really cool, and we have 100% chance to hit too, thanks to our Shaper's Touch giving us accuracy and our precision aura, but we'll get more into that now. So the idea behind this build is to get as much critical strike chance and energy shield at the moment. As you can see, I've currently got 8,300 energy shield, which is then transformed to 4,200 when we use Energy Blade, which then gives us 1,782 lightning damage to our main hand weapon as it replaces your main hand weapon. But what makes this really cool is that by being the Inquisitor, we have access to Battlemage, which gives us the gain added spell damage equal to the damage of your main hand weapon. What this means is that this 1,782 lightning damage is added to any spells. Like my Freezing Pulse at the moment, as you can see, it is now dealing around 38,000 lightning damage, which is pretty insane. I mean, I think it almost doubles, yeah, it basically doubles the Freezing Pulse's damage, which is really, really insane, I think. Anyways, of course, whichever main hand weapon I use, it doesn't matter because it gets replaced by Energy Blade, but I'm just using some rings here that's got strength and energy shield, some mana and life as well, but more importantly, the resistances at the moment, so I can be resistance capped, which I'll further probably replace somewhere along in the tree, so I can get juicier rings that have high intelligence and strength on them. But I'll see what the prices are like on the market. Otherwise, I am using a Astromentus for the all attributes, mainly to bring up our dexterity due to gem requirements, and using a Crown of the Inward Eye. This is just mostly for the increased maximum life, mana, and global energy shield that it provides me with. I will probably not be replacing this, as it gives us a lot of extra mana and life, but more importantly, it is giving us a decent amount of energy shield and armor too. Moving on, I'm using a Prism Guardian. This is mostly so I can socket in Purity of Elements here, and Grace and Determination, so we are res capped, and it gives me around 80% physical damage reduction and up to 75% evade chance, which is really cool, making me even more tanky, which we will further investigate as I level further, of course. For my boots, I've just got some high movement speed with strength and intelligence and mana and life, of course, because we need to stack as much life and mana as possible, along with strength and intelligence, due to our gloves being the Shaper's Touch, which gives us life and mana, well, mostly life per dexterity, but that doesn't really matter. What we're aiming for here is the extra mana per strength, the extra accuracy rating for per 2 intelligence, the extra energy shield per 10 strength, and the extra evasion rating per intelligence as well. So this is what gives us our huge amounts of evasion rating. But also not just this, we are also using a Fire and Spanner, which further increases my armor and my evasion rating as well. For my belts, I'm just using a Cyclopean Coil, mostly for the 18% increased attributes with as much life as I can get on it as well, which is almost the highest roll at the moment. Then moving on to the chest is the most important part probably, and it is the Ivory Tower, which gives 32 maximum energy shield per 100 reserved life, and because I'm using a Prism Guardian and Determination, Grace, and Purity of Elements to reserve all of my life, it is transferring all of that extra life that is being reserved into energy shield, and this is why we have such a huge energy shield pool at the moment, which I expect to, in the near future, to be risen to around about, I think we can expect to see about 16,000 energy shield or so. So we'll have about an 8k ES pool, and that means that we'll be tanky enough, and it will probably be giving us about 2,500 lightning damage with our energy blade, but of course I'll see how things go with that. Otherwise, looking at our gems, I'm just running a Vortex with Onslaught, Arcane Surge, and Culling Strike on my left click, so I can gain Onslaught with any mobs that are left behind, even though there aren't actually any being left behind. But of course, as I get into later on maps, we'll see about that. Of course, I've got my Grace, Determination, and Purity of Elements here. Then I'm just using a Flame Dash for utility, Defiance Banner for the extra armor and evasion rating, of course, and a Flesh and Stone, mostly to utilize the blinding aura and the less damage taken from enemies that aren't inside the aura. making me even more tanky. Over here I've got a Discipline 2, which I'm not currently using at the moment because I feel that having at least 800 mana or so is necessary at the moment because I don't have high chaos resistance to mitigate any chaos resistance damage that I take. And the problem with this build at the moment is that, as you can see, I only have 282 life, so even if I take a small bit of chaos damage, then I will die from it. But of course, what the Ivory Tower does is chaos damage is taken from our mana before life, and this is why I'm trying to keep my mana above, because if my mana drops too low, then of course I'll take chaos damage to my life and then I'll just instantly die. But I'll further be looking to get extra chaos resistance on rings and my boots probably to mitigate that. Otherwise I use a Coruscating Elixir at the moment, so chaos damage cannot bypass energy shield during the flask effect. The only reason why I'm using this is just in case my mana does dip too low, then at least I know I'm not going to just die straight off of the bat. Anyways, moving on to my glove sockets. I'm using a Clarity, of course, and a Temporal Rift. The reason why I'm using Temporal Rift at the moment is because if I do probably take a huge chunk of damage, like if I go down to 300 ES or something, I can just hit Temporal Rift and it'll take me back a few seconds and I'll be straight back to full life. And this works really well with the Scourge mechanic at the moment, seeing as though you get teleported back to where you initially started, so it doesn't really make too much of a difference in terms of teleporting you back and forth. I feel it's still rather smooth. Anyways, then we've got our energy blade here and a sniper's mark. This is just for on bossing, just to give extra damage, of course. And I have a crosswind damage taken just chilling here, which I'll use later on. Moving on to our chest sockets, I've got Cyclone linked to cost and critical strike, linked to inspiration for the more elemental damage and increased critical strike chance, of course. I'll probably be dropping my diamond flask soon as our crit chance is really high already. And then we have it linked to freezing pulse here and increased critical strikes. This is going to be replaced as well with probably crit multi, I think, but I'll see how it performs, of course. And then I've got a link to energy leech, so I have a form of sustain on my energy shield at the moment. Otherwise, moving on to our skill tree here, as I mentioned previously, I've pretty much just pathed to get as much strength and some life at the moment. Of course, we've got Iron Will now, so strength damage bonus applies to our spells now as well. I got some reservation efficiency over here too, the extra elemental damage, and then I pathed all the way on top here, picked up the increased intelligence nodes here, a little bit more life and maximum energy shield. Picked up pain attunement as well because we're on low life. That extra 30% more spell damage helps out a lot. And then I am currently running 2 split personalities. So the idea behind running these is to try and socket them in as far away from the starting point to get as much intelligence and life at the moment. As you can see, I'm getting 40 intelligence and 40 to maximum life just from this one, which is pretty cool. And this one over here, I'm getting up to 42 to strength and 42 to mana, which is quite a lot. I'll probably be switching these out for strength and intelligence ones. I'll just have to see how things go. And I've got Soul Thief here for the recover 2% of energy shield on kill. This is just mostly to keep up sustain during mapping. And then I'm running 2 First Snow Cobalt Jewels for the extra projectiles on Freezing Pulse. So I don't need to use GMP or LMP or anything like that, which is pretty cool. Otherwise, that is pretty much it. Of course, I'm just using a normal Eternal Mana Flask here for the mana sustain, as as I recently said that we want to try and keep our mana pool up, otherwise we die to chaos damage. And then the diamond flask I'll be swapping out, of course. And then here I've got the amethyst flask for the extra chaos resistance. This now pulls me up to just negative 26 chaos resist, so take a little bit less chaos damage. And then of course we just have a quicksilver flask here to be extra speedy. Otherwise, I've just got a T4 silo over here that I'm just going to run quickly, just to show you guys how it performs. So let's jump in and have a look at how cool the build looks so far. Yeah, we pretty much just go straight in and you just cyclone, and freezing pulse takes care of everything in our way. And we don't have to actually worry about being stunned, thanks to using the Soul of the Brine King. So when we're stunned, we cannot be stunned again, allowing us to just continuously keep on cycloning the whole time. Right, let's just be a speedy boy now. As you can see at the moment, the damage is pretty huge, so I can just get into a pack and just right click once and pretty much everything just dies. I don't need to hold in Cyclone. But yeah, at the moment I have invested around 2.5 exalts, I think it is. Yeah, it's around about 2.5, maybe at max 3 exalts into this. And for the amount of investment, I think it is pretty solid at the moment, considering that it just kills everything and we are really, really tanky. I expect for this build to be able to do pretty crazy content, but of course I'm not promising anything at the moment. I'm just basically going on my gut feeling of how the build's going to perform. It's so satisfying to just run into them and you just right click once and then they all die. Really, really cool. Of course with the raise now and then you'll just have to cyclone it a little bit extra more, but it's not that much of a big deal. And now for bossing, super easy, as you can see, just insta-phase him. The only downside of this build as well is probably degens, which of course are a problem, but as long as you stay out of degens and that, should be fine, I'm pretty sure. Whoa, and I just got wrecked there, okay. Probably should not have stood in his abilities there. Anyways, I'm sure that you get the idea of the build. I will be putting out an update video on it within the next couple of days when I'm over into higher maps, like T14s, T15s or so. Otherwise, if you found this update video helpful, or if you think that the build's going to perform really well and you're excited to see further improvements on it, then I suggest that you should smack that subscribe button and don't forget to ring the bell notification to be updated on my latest video releases. Otherwise, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video, Exile.